incomplete.
Welcome one and all to a Friday edition. There are no other editions. This is the Friday edition and the 5th edition of the Reset Button, the episode that's going to talk about something that unfortunately we're not getting this year. It's going to be E3 in 23. I am Reset Patrick, of course, and I'm joined by two colleagues, as always. First off, we have Johnny Chase.
Which my presence is so huge, it's protruding out of the frame. I just noticed that on stream. I haven't set the frame.
It is a little goofed, isn't it?
Yeah, just a little.
It's because you're that awesome, man.
Exactly.
And of course, we have Liz.
How's everyone doing today?
I hope everybody's doing awesome. I know I am pumped. It's the weekend. It's going to be a good time. It looks like chat's jumping. So it's going to be good. Woo! Now, the thing we're talking about this go around, this is some classic Reset Button here, guys. For everybody who hasn't paid attention to the podcast over the years, you may not know this, but we have covered E3 time and time and time again. Even back in the days when it was still ScrewAttack News and Tanner and I was doing the Reset Button on the side, we still took the time to, really talk about E3 expectations, talk about some of the crazy shit that happened over time when it came to E3. Like, for example, does anybody remember when Ouya couldn't get in? Does anybody remember what they did?
What a joke.
They had to do it from the parking lot, and then they got kicked out of the parking lot.
They couldn't afford a booth. They couldn't get in. So what did they do? They found a way, and they just made an absolute mess out of it. So some quick E3 facts for everybody here, in case you're not maybe that into the gaming culture. E3, of course, stands for the Electronic Entertainment Expo, starting in 1995. One of the most famous things that happened at E3 was the famous, I think that was the PlayStation price drop.
That would have been the not the price drop, but the announcement. So
that's what I meant, like the name drop.
Sega announced to Saturn and announced that it was at retailers today, and retailers are like, "No, it's not." It's like, "Oh, there's the shipment." It's like, well, "We don't have anything for this ready." And then, like as Wordman put it in chat, that's also when the Sony exec famously got up on the stage and is like, "Okay, here to discuss pricing for Sony PlayStation." The guy got up and just went $299 and walked off.
Yes, caused the entire place to go into a roar of insanity. So we had famous moments like that. Plus, we have some not so wonderful moments like the Connectables. I'm sure everybody remembers that.
Those poor kid actors.
Weird.
Oh, that was so bad. And of course, we have something that I referenced when I sent out a tweet earlier today, Mr. Caffeine. If you don't remember Mr. Caffeine, you're in a better timeline than me. What a terrible character.
My gif was EA's announcement of Peggle 2, and the guy gets Peggle 2. Like, it was like, cool, I liked Peggle, but I'm not gonna hype for the sequel. Even though Peggle 2 was great, Peggle 2 was a great puzzle game.
Yes.
I don't think it deserved a
Peggle.
I feel like Peggle is like synonymous with like Xbox. Because it came on so many free things with it, like the free downloads and the discs and crap. I mean, I guess it was epic enough in that sense.
Wii Music absolutely was another, like, just, it came out and everybody went,
oh my god. It hurt. That was so painful.
It's like this is our big thing. This is our big holiday seller. It's like for people badly playing the Mario music.
And the one that I
I'm
referenced.
Sure
go ahead.
I'm sure I've never played Wii Music, but I'm assuming like if you play it the way it's intended, instead of going like this with the Wiimote, it probably works. Anytime I've ever seen anyone like demo it or play it, it's always like they're not trying. They're like, oh, how ridiculous can we make ourselves look? It's like, well, no wonder the everyone hates the game. It's like, you're not trying to actually play it.
You're just trying to make
it
a
became a joke.
spectacle. That's basically all you're trying to do, is make it a spectacle. And then, of course, the thing that I've mentioned year after year, my hatred for E3, is the fucking dancing bear for Just Dance. Every fucking year they brought that bear out, and every year I had a meltdown because I'm sick of seeing it. I'm sick of Just Dance. I'm sorry if you're a fan of Just Dance. I'm so sorry. But that shit needs to stop.
Patrick, I think with your news history, you have some deep-seated E3 trauma. Like way more severe than both Johnny and I combined. It sounds like you were very scarred.
Oh my god. Oh, so for anybody, if you haven't done any sort of like online website coverage for E3 before, let me give you a little bit of insight of how that goes, because it was traumatic. Like, as soon as this stuff hits the stage, their press people is automatically just sending you pressers. Like, just, here's all these documentations. Here's all these quotes. Here's all these images. Please put a nice article together and make us look good. And it's like, what can I do with this to turn it into news? They've already seen it. We already know what's happening. And if I use all of these, I might as well just be jerking the company off. It's hell. It's hell. You think you love video games until E3 comes along. You don't love them anymore. It's over.
That's how I feel. It was
Honestly,
kind of
E3.
Go ahead, guys.
Go ahead.
sorry. That's what I feel like. What kind of like ruined E3, because like in years past, like you only heard about E3 through magazines. And then with Electric Playground with Tommy and Vic, they would go cover E3 on camera and then would show it sporadically throughout the season. So like the one thing I really loved about Electric Playground was like when there was a new game coming out and it was almost set for release, or they wanted to talk about it, they had E3 video already, like just ready to go. And so that they didn't have to like overexpose everyone to everything going on. They had stuff that they could play around with throughout the year. But now with like, you know, the way internet is, and we're lightning fast speeds and streaming and all that, it's like everyone knows about everything right away. So you find one outlet or one person that you cling to be like, oh, I just want to see you react to it. I want to get your thoughts on it, which is kind of what we're at today with all the, you know, E3 has been pretty much taken over by everyone's individual press conferences now.
Liz, you had input?
Oh, I was going to say, you know, I remember E3 in terms of at least like, obviously not working news, just like being a consumer. I feel like before 2010, E3 was like a really fun, spectacular thing. And I think it got to a point once we started getting to like the PS4 and Xbox One era that a lot of it just like became a joke. And I don't know, I kind of wanted to like see like, I guess you guys have more E3 experience than I have. You know, you have more awareness longer than I. And I kind of wanted to see where you guys think things took a turn, in your opinions, and kind of go through some of the history of E3 and your thoughts at that time, and kind of looking back, did that age well?
I'll definitely jump in on that first, because that's another old school reset button topic. Because Tanner and I, if Tanner was here, I'm sure he would agree with me. We thought things started taking a turn for the worse when it slowly morphed into this thing for fans. It wasn't really press anymore. It was more for fans. And that's when it got sillier. That's when it got crazier. And that's when it got more ridiculous. And after a while, you know, these companies realized that they could control the narrative a lot easier by just doing their own, you know, and they realized I don't have to spend, and that's something I was going to say, upwards to $250,000 to have a presentation at E3. I don't have to pay for this anymore. I can just make this video, control the narrative completely. No goofy shit's going to happen on stage and embarrass us, and it's going to be perfect. If anybody didn't know, booths at E3 and those presentations, Like, small time booths can be about 80,000. Full presentations, we're talking about just getting it up there. They get you the lights, but you have to build your own stage. That's starting at $250,000. So that's a big expense. But history of it, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to E3, like in the mid 2000s or anything like that. And then the more I communicate with people through ScrewAttack and what have you, I paid a bit more attention, but it was definitely when I became an intern for ScrewAttack News, I was paying more attention. And that was also when I got the big story, the big break that no one ever knows I got, and that's going to be the end of it. What do I mean by that? And it's going to be hard for people to believe this, but it's true. I was the first person to cover Xbox games with gold. I was.
Ooh, that's your claim to fame.
And I can tell you how I did it too. I had the jitters because, being an intern, I wasn't able to sleep. I knew tomorrow morning, this is it. It's going to be the big thing. Sean is going to tell us what stories we're going to be covering. It's all hands on deck. It's going to be crazy. I couldn't sleep, and I was browsing Reddit. And in the Xbox subreddit, someone posted a screenshot entitled it, "You didn't hear this from me." And it showed a screenshot of Fable 3 and no charge. And he could just download it. So I wrote a story about that. I said, this may be following an announcement tomorrow. We're not sure. This was just a random thing, but I confirmed that it was true. It did work. And then on that day, they announced games with gold. First game being Fable 3. It was amazing.
Remember when games for gold was good?
That's a big deal. That Fable is a huge deal considering the context of games for gold starting in the first place. So that's huge buzz. Like that's no surprise.
And of course, that's lost in history. No one knows I was that person. I don't think anybody even really caught that article because nobody really used ScrewAttack for news all that much. But I mean, that's my claim to fame. I did it first.
Would it be in the Wayback Machine? It's like ScrewAttack. Like there's some sort of ScrewAttack stuff that's on the Wayback Machine.
Yes, it is. Someone found it for me.
Mm-hmm. So if I could interject with a little bit of like my E3 experience, I definitely became a lot more aware of E3 kind of in like the early to mid 2000s. Definitely when I was exploring the internet for the first time. And having access to faster internet, because we had dial-up until 2008, until I could not do my homework, and I like cried to my parents. It was a bad situation, so I practically lived at my house because one, they didn't have dial-up, they had something better, and two, they had cable, which means I got to watch the gaming channel stuff. So I would like literally go over to like some friends' houses and stay there multiple days, or like go home for a couple hours, come back so we could like watch E3 coverage or whatever cool like gaming and or anime thing in particular that was live on cable. And nice. I became very invested. Like I really remember getting excited for Final Fantasy 12 in particular.
Oh no.
That was no, 12. That was like one thing I really remember watching on cable, and we would be like, oh my gosh, the next big E3 thing is at 4:00 today, and we'd make sure like we stopped playing outside and like would come in to watch whatever was on TV. So I remember it being an event because I did not have access to these things, and it was just super fun to like hang out with my friends and their siblings, because we all played games together like every night basically in the summer, because we did daytime activities in the sun. So yeah, so it started from there. And honestly, Patrick, with you talking about doing a lot of reporting on ScrewAttack, like ScrewAttack got me so much more into games where I might have phased out of it some at a point, or maybe kept more with current stuff. But it definitely kept my interest in older titles and revival of older games. And honestly, like I was glued to ScrewAttack every single day. So I give you a good chunk of credit and your team and the ScrewAttack staff for keeping me invested because they kept the news interesting, in my opinion. And from there, I worked at GameStop, so there was like literally no way to avoid it. And I kind of worked for GameStop in like the weird PS4, Xbox One, and the Wii U era, as kind of like lightly discussed before. So I was kind of fed by force, and I've since lost interest after working at GameStop because it's boom, 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 gone downhill and become sillier every year, as you explained.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, first off. I appreciate that. It's good to hear that somebody went to ScrewAttack and read ScrewAttack News and was like, hey, I want to, know more about this and be more included in all this. And while I'm thinking about it, I just have to say this. Ryan Conway, if you ever hear this episode, man, I'm still thinking about you. ScrewAttack News all the way, buddy. But, yeah, it was a good ride until it unfortunately wasn't a ride anymore. Of course, ScrewAttack News came to an end. But the final thing we did is we did an E3 coverage that year. And it was... If anybody can find the way back articles from this one, what a mess. It was a ragtag group. We just kind of threw it together because I was told before we got to E3 that it was going to be over. I was told when I was going to wrap up, and I said, okay, can we do E3 just for this year and then we're done? And the answer was, yeah, do your thing. So I got a ragtag group of ScrewAttack G1s, people who were not trained in journalism at all. It was just like, guys, let's just fucking go. Let's do this. And was it interesting? Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. If anybody can find that way back stuff, please, I'd love to read that again, because we're talking like, let's see, G1 Stevero, G1 Kaneko. Oh, who else was it on there? So many guys that jumped in. It was like G1s to the rescue. It was amazing. But it was also the most amateur shit ever.
I didn't think you ever went. That's so cool. I don't remember that.
I need to find that.
Wait,
do you have
did
distinct memories of like what happened on site, or like any weird or like awkward, embarrassing things? Because you guys are probably like, oh, we're such beginners. What is anything?
But did you actually go to E3, or you were just covering it from the office?
No,
yeah,
it was always Craig and the main group that went.
Oh.
And you had Sean Hines and Sean Bolin who stayed behind, and we did a lot of the actual on the website stuff.
Okay, I thought you went.
No, nothing crazy like that. Did we screw up some stuff? Oh yeah. I could tell you guys so many different stories about just ScrewAttack News in and of itself, about how I got insulted by the team that made Fez before. That was fun.
Really? Phil Fish?
Phil Fish and his people like fucking tore me a new one.
Phil Fish had people?
Yeah. He had
Did
a
he murder them?
I mean, it's not hard to make Phil Fish cry if you want me to like go yell at him retroactively.
Reset, have you ever seen Indie Game the movie?
No, but I wasn't aware that Phil Fish killed people.
Oh, I watched that forever
No. He was so crazy and meant it, like he was like his co-partner that helped develop Fez that want to sign. He was waiting for him to sign off so that Fez could be all Phil Fish's. There's like, he gets unhinged at one point in the movie where he's like, I just want him to sign the papers. I'll fucking kill him and I'll drown him in the pool. I'm like, dude.
Whoa.
This was before mental health was discussed as it is today.
Holy shit. No.
Yeah.
Had no boundaries.
But that's a good documentary because it follows Phil Fish's development of Fez, the guys behind Super Meat Boy. I think they talked to Jonathan Blow about Braid. Who's the other team that they were talking about? I can't remember. It's a good movie. We reviewed it on the Game Days podcast.
I don't want to go too far off on this one, but I will tell that story because I'm sure it's piqued somebody's interest here. So there was a post on 4chan where everybody thought it was Phil Fish going off on people, just going completely the fuck off.
He wouldn't do
And that was what all these places were reporting, that it was Phil. And I actually have journalistic integrity. I'm not going to just say it's Phil Fish unless I could determine it's Phil Fish. So I reached out to his dev team and I asked, do you believe that's Phil? And they wrote back to me and said, any idiot would be able to see that that's not Phil, and we'd be surprised that anyone would be duped by that, but here you are. I was blown away, and I CC'd Sean Hines in that email. So when I got the reply, Sean Hines got the email reply as well. He called me and he said, are you running that? I was like, fuck yes, I am.
Good for you. Honestly, if the way Phil was reacting that film and like the interaction of the people he worked with, that's just probably a super toxic work environment, and like everyone was not doing good. Like that was so rude. That's not good press.
No. That is not Reset Press. No. That is not the good stuff. But we did have some good times when it came to E3 coverage. It was fun getting all of like the inside stuff. That was also how I got my Nintendo rep. We actually had a PR rep that was assigned to us that we could talk to. That's also how I told everybody over and over again when the Switch Pro talk was happening. I kept saying, there is no Switch Pro. It's not happening. It's not real. Everybody was like, no, 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 man. There's a Switch Pro coming. No, because every place, every news organization and outlet has a Nintendo PR rep assigned to them. Those reps aren't going to tell you a goddamn thing unless they are okay to tell. All I asked one time, just so everybody understands, can you use your amiibo online against other people and their amiibo? And the guy said, I'll have to get back to you on that. That is the easiest question in the world, and he couldn't give me a straight answer. And I asked that question because I was almost certain that while the presentation was going on, I jotted down that you could use your amiibo online, and people are arguing and saying, no, it's offline only. So I was like, wait, what? I could have sworn they just said for Smash 4 you're going to be able to use your amiibo online against other people. So I reached out to the guy. I was like, hey, can you do that? He refused to answer until he knew for certain what it was, and it was clear for him to say this. He was that concerned and that worried about something that trivial. So yeah, I knew that this Switch Pro was bullshit because how are you going to get anything out of those guys? But I remember that. I remember there was another intern you guys figured out because how many interns were not at that office and writing news? But there was an intern there that would not stop just talking mad shit about Ubisoft constantly in our behind-the-scenes chat to the point Craig got pissed and just told him, you know, you're going to have to stop this, man. Because, I mean, everybody, we all have a little bit of bias. It happens. Everybody has a little bit of bias. You know, some of us think The Quiet Man is good. Some of us don't.
Who said The Quiet Man was good? I need names.
There are no names yet.
I can't tell you. I have to stay quiet about it.
Oh.
Okay, that was too bad. But yeah, he got pretty upset about that. And then there was just stuff where we were scrambling to get information. The biggest one is, this was not E3 related, but it was right before. The Xbox One. The Xbox One press release event.
Oh, everything was so bad. Everything. This is when like Xbox lost everything. It was starting at the beginning of the Xbox. Let me just say that.
That
yeah,
was
as much
one.
as I love my Xbox. Yeah, it's It was a bad take. Don Matrick did not do that company any favors.
Don Matrick
Like,
did
you can't
the
play any of
worst.
your games, and we're gonna put all these limitations that makes it virtually unplayable and unfriendly to everyone that ever wants to do anything ever. And but we're also a cable box. That's cool.
It's the all-in-one
the worst.
entertainment machine.
Oh my god.
I remember
Like,
that all too well.
seriously.
Mhm.
Xbox was on top of the world, and then I think The Last of Us came out in PS3, and everyone was like, "PlayStation is so cool now!" And with the and then Xbox One, they
It also was hell for
Xbox
us because
360.
we were just scrambling, struggling to understand exactly what he said because half of it was cryptic nonsense. Like, your games are locked on your system, but you have to connect it every 24 hours or you can't play it, or no one could really figure out what this guy was trying to say.
Mhm.
And like also, this is at a period where a lot of people are starting to transition to more and more like high speed internets and cables, not quite fiber yet. And there's people who are like, dude, I give this to like my like dumb little snotty nosed 8-year-old boy to play Halo, and he's not gonna have internet access every time. Like, the parents were confused. The parents were insanely confused, like more so confused and traumatized than the Wii U explanation of what it's trying to figure out what that was. People were pissed and like
Yeah.
coming in and canceling a bunch of Xbox stuff.
Right.
And they're like, well, this is not going to do me any good. It was like a violent response, like working in gaming at that time.
It was an issue because, like, you could eventually understand what the Wii U was. You might be confused at the beginning, but you can eventually understand what's going on there with that one. But understanding this whole, tech lock and game lock when it comes to Xbox One, like, if you're not super into tech and you're getting this for your kid, you're confused as hell. I mean, we were covering this shit and
Half
we
the
were
people
confused.
playing our kids.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Call of Duty.
Really? Yep. Like, not joking, like, people, there'd be like 200 people that, like, if they didn't make it to the midnight, I easily had 200 people like straight for a couple of hours, like checking out the next day after a huge game release, especially Call of Duty. It was like literally line at the door. We didn't have to worry about like air conditioning because it was colder in like November. And I'd be like, everyone, IDs out. And half of them are moms in the line that are like, well, I didn't let my kid call off or go to the midnight. And I'm like, everyone, IDs out. And all the moms are like, oh, I'm so flattered.
Oh my god.
It's literally the parents like in line, or they're like, yeah, I'm not going to work today. It was like one or the other.
Well, jumping back into E3, I mean, we've all had, I think, plenty of time to watch some different presentations over time, including, like, I guess we could say the death throes of E3, like the final year and everything of it, where, I mean, spoiler alert, guys, I don't see this shit coming back.
Oh no, they've already confirmed. They're not coming back for 2024, 2025
Yeah.
No,
Like, it's
That's
just
what I'm
not
saying.
happening.
Like,
Sign of
2026, I don't think it's going to suddenly just be like, oh, we need to come back. It's retro
I
now.
mean, honestly, with like Jeff Keighley always kind of being like the face of like these announcements and stuff, and him doing like his Summerfest thing, it's kind of like E3 in spirit, I guess, but just like all virtual. Aren't there some stuff in real life? But I don't know. It seems like, oh, it's just like Jeff Keighley's face on a different titled thing. Okay.
I mean, at this point,
And I'll be honest, like
Go
those
ahead.
conferences were starting to get really, really samey. Up to the point where, like, when Matt Stone and Trey Parker got on stage to talk about South Park and the Stick of Truth, Trey was mimicking every single solitary presenter because everyone talks like this with a quick pause in another sentence. We believe in Microsoft. And like just going back and forth. It's like,
Those-
fucking kill me.
Oh.
After like 5 straight years of that, it was just like, thank God for Nintendo Directs that are just like right to the point. It's just like, hi, I'm Satoru Iwata from Nintendo. We're gonna show you this next game. Please look, and then just get into it. No long pauses. What drove me nuts about long pauses is the daily. I'm gonna go a little bit off topic here, but like when COVID was starting, your governments would give you the daily numbers, and it's just formulaic. Like, oh my God, shut up. It's just like they keep going on, and after a while, it's like, oh, we watch something else, please. I'm kind of glad those types of conferences are gone. Like, just go straight to the point. But then again, this was not made for the average consumer to watch. Like, E3 was for retailers, like department store managers. Like, we get flown out and be like, Sega, Sony, Nintendo, and then eventually Microsoft, get these people in a room and to be like, this is why you really need to stock up on our product for the holiday season and going forward into the next year, because here's the hot new games that every mom and dad are going to buy for the kids, or maybe the mom and dad will buy for themselves. That was the whole point.
And then important people.
Exactly. And then, then you obviously you got to get press in there. So yeah, you got to get Nintendo Power, Game Pro, EGM, all of them to put publications. Then it became the websites. Then kind of what killed it though was you started bringing in all the influencers, like your average YouTuber started going into it. And I saw in the chat earlier when people were talking about like what stands out on E3 in big capital letters, betrayal, with the guys from Channel Awesome going and screaming betrayal in the middle of the E3 granted that that XCOM game looked like shit, the first person shooter one, and I think that was the first time I've ever seen anyone like actively say anything negative on the E3 floor, because usually E3 it's euphoric. It's like, I'm surrounded by so many video games and so many people in the industry. It's just like, spectacle. I better not say anything bad that they may not ask me back. And they did ask him back. He went back the next year and he met with the devs to play Enemy Unknown, and instead of saying betrayal, he said loyalty. A lot of people forget that because betrayal is just, it's so iconic. I have it on my Stream Deck as a sound bite.
Oh.
Yeah, and the history of E3 is also they wanted to bring out the high rollers. So that was another thing. You bring out the high rollers, the big investors, and you show them like a console launch was like the big. Everybody, well, maybe you don't remember the release of the original Xbox. They brought Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson out and tried to make this thing look like the future. Like, if you weren't going to invest in Microsoft, you were getting left behind, you dumb fucker. You need to throw your money now. Throw your money now.
Yeah.
My brother is an original Xbox guy, and he sent me all these reels recently, kind of like, I don't know, there's probably a lot of stuff going around in memorial of E3. And like, dude, I didn't directly watch this because I was like a little too young at this point to like really have access to it. But I remember seeing so many images and like follow-up videos and other stuff going out throughout the years. And like the hype was like that was probably one of the best like presentations I've ever seen. Like ever. So it's just like hard to continue mimicking that when I guess you change like the intentions or goals of your conference.
And then going into something Johnny mentioned later. Well, go ahead. Hit your thought.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm just thinking of like other the hype moments, like the E3 where they announced Twilight Princess, or they teased Twilight Princess. Like, that got such a roar of the crowd, and then like you cut to like a shadowy image and it's Shigeru Miyamoto with a shield and master sword in hand. Like, because like that came right after Wind Waker, where people were all about like, oh, it's all cartoony, it's not the one you showed off at Space World. I want something more realistic. And then they give the more realistic one and they rejoice.
Yeah, that was like a defibrillator right to the heart of Nintendo, which they desperately needed because GameCube was floundering. It wasn't doing so hot. No, it was Revolution. Dolphin was...
Yeah, Revolution.
It was Revolution.
Dolphin was GameCube, yeah.
Exactly. No one knew what Revolution was yet, and GameCube was floundering pretty bad, so they needed something to restart that heart pretty quick. And that was pretty genius. That got people investing in the company again. Stocks started going up. Some sales were up because people wanted that Zelda game, and they were willing to try out the rest of the library while they were waiting. So for investors, that really is some make or break. But today, that's not really the case anymore, because these showcases we have now are meant for us, the consumers, more than investors.
Yeah, because eventually, like, stores are gonna stock it up anyway. They're gonna stock the major titles anyway. So really, it doesn't like the only thing that I would say like a GameStop or a Walmart would probably be more concerned of is like stocking like a lesser known title or an indie title. So it's like, okay, why should we put this alongside our Last of Us and Halos and Call of Duties and God of Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like on top of it too, people needed to have so much more education about games when it was less mainstream, let us put it that way. And we have so much more access to information and we can like understand whether or not a company is being transparent. And I don't know, I just think there's just so much more easy access to information these days that it is catered to the audience because of that. And you're still gonna have people, again, I think it's a lot more parents that aren't into gaming or tech. That's definitely knowledge generation. But it's changed the dynamic since like it seems like everyone's playing games now.
Yeah, everybody's playing games now, but also they don't need that showcase as much. And I think one of the main things that people forget is stock trading has changed dramatically since the early days of E3. A lot of it's done automatedly, it's done electronically. The type of stock trading that happened in these types of showcases were meant to influence, they don't really exist anymore. So it really doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money to try and make that happen. But the death throes of E3, when it all began, I think we could all agree that the Nintendo Direct is what started all this.
Yeah.
It was
when Nintendo pulled out and said, we're not going to have an on-stage presence. We're just going to have our own thing recorded. We will still be at E3 for people to come in and demo the games and, you know, talk with our developers and programmers and all that. But we're not going to get on stage and talk about it. We're going to have everything pre-recorded to make everything go swimmingly. Because there are some times that's, you know, those demos don't go swimmingly. We remember Uncharted 4. Nathan Drake just kind of standing there that they had to restart the demo.
And you know what too? I think with like the age of streaming and whatnot, I know Nintendo, even though they didn't have like a formal presentation on stage, they had the Nintendo Treehouse aspect where it's like, yeah, we're streaming eight to 10 hours today, and we're gonna talk so in depth. We got our team on the couch, and we got rotating people coming in to try out these games and get their thoughts. So they had like not like a planned demo where we're just going to show you the flashy part, or it's like this is not the final product, but you could see how cool it is, I guess. That's how a lot of those demos felt on stage. It's like, okay, I really don't think the games are really going to look like this. It's a little too nice, or it's too broken. And like the Treehouse interaction, like you got to see at least like hours and hours of various games, and it was really nice having like a really relaxed style to it.
Not to mention, with the pre-recorded video, any sort of blunders, any sort of looking like a fool on stage, all of that was scraped right out. It was pretty much a treat for me, being a huge Nintendo fan, to have Iwata come out and just, you know, start the presentation, let us know what we're going to see today, and then we got to see some really amazing stuff. And that is how I still got my favorite Nintendo Direct of all time. Of all time, guys. Does anybody remember? I know the game isn't great. But does anybody remember the Direct for Star Fox Zero?
No. I don't remember.
The puppets. Was it with the puppets?
The puppets.
Was it solely for Zero, or was it part of the Direct and it
was part of the Direct?
Sort of happened. Okay. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
I love that. It was so playful, so creative. And
because that's when they had the puppet Iwata and puppet Fizime, right?
Mm-hmm. And also, they also had Miyamoto puppet too. So it was the three of them.
Okay.
Dude, you guys have to send me a link because I didn't watch this.
Oh yeah.
It should still be on Nintendo's website. If you look up Nintendo Directs.
We got to get that too.
I still love the Direct where Seth Green and Robot Chicken Studios made like little Robot Chicken sketches in between. And they had one where the guys in the crowd talking to the robot chicken feast mate going, "Oh, come on, give us Mother 3." Feast mate's like, "Not my problem."
That's such a cruel joke.
Oh, let's talk about that. Some various memes, some E3 memes that have just continued on from like
Oh, I
today.
love me some juice. Love me some
yeah,
memes.
we can think of it. The number one
Giant enemy crab.
Yes. Yes. I love that one. That's the one. For anybody who doesn't know, they were giving a presentation. I can't remember the game, but
I think it was Genji.
Was it?
Yeah, it was on the PS3.
And the premise was you were supposed to be able to relive historic battles in like feudal Japan. And then next thing you know, you hear, and here's a giant enemy crab. Yeah, because those were roaming in feudal Japan, right? Just all over the place. Giant crab.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
You attack its weak spot for massive damage.
And then
The clear against me.
the one that I remember, and I think everybody else does because it's mentioned all the time. All the time. Of course, it's already mentioned in chat. With the release of Wii Fit, Reggie is about ready to step up and try the balance board and show everybody how it's going, and says, "My body is ready."
Dude, okay, so I remember seeing, like, back in the GameStop day, it was a few years before I started, like, speaking of, like, Reggie, like, they were giving away free shirts to the GameStop stores of Reggie, like, fighting with a pair of, like, the Wii Remote and nunchucks. Like, it was so, my body is, you know, is Reggie. It was such that vibe.
Nice.
That meme continued into what I can't remember what video it was, but it was a video of like Reggie doing like all these super anime attacks, and
Yes, him versus Iwata.
and Iwata was deflecting all of them.
It was to announce the Mii fighters were coming to Smash. So it's just like the underhand slaps, and then like Iwata goes back, does the please understand headbutts. it was like so good.
Reggie, like, did Nintendo so good.
Oh, we lost you.
But like thinking of like other like really interesting people that I loved, and I was like, oh, so excited to see what they do or say in terms of ads, promotions, or like presentations like E3 or other big announcements. I was obsessed with Kevin Butler with PlayStation.
Oh
And
yeah.
his whole demise was so miserable, but he is probably like, I was like fangirl crying. I think he was at least in one or two E3s presenting stuff. And it's like, dude, oh, the biggest blunder doing a Mario Kart ad. Like,
Well, it was a Bridgestone ad, but he was playing Mario Kart in it. And they're just like, no. People associate you with Sony. He was like, I don't work for Sony. I'm an actor.
It's the silliest
I'm not
thing.
actually Kevin Butler. I'm an actor.
It's the silliest
I'm
thing.
here for a paycheck.
Let's go back to the chat with some of the other stuff. Let's forget when they announced the Wii and Nintendo Land, they ended the conference with one more thing, and there's just fireworks from Nintendo Land. It's like, that's it?
The finale.
Yeah. Someone else pointed out the entire Konami press conference from I can't remember which it was when they had Never Dead, the some Lucha Libre game. I don't even I think some type of Kinect dance game, because everyone had a Kinect dance game, but that one is like legendarily bad. But of course, when they're talking about the PlayStation 4 and the price drop, and then also roar from the crowd saying, "Oh yeah, we won't restrict your used games. We won't have any online DRM," which that was a lie. A lot of people forget that like no, like if you buy a digital game, you've got to be online to play it. That's one of the key details that people like to forget about these new consoles.
Yeah, there's a check-in. I think there's even a check-in with Steam. Like, even Steam isn't DRM free, guys. I don't see that ever going away. Unless you're going to buy from, like, GOG or something like that. They are DRM free, as they say. But otherwise,
and
DRMs...
that's why I don't use my Steam a lot.
I'm trying to think of, like, other, like, big moments. I mean, more recently, when they came back... When did Cyberpunk What Keanu? When was that? Was that 2019? I think that was 2019 because that would have been pre-COVID. Yeah.
I think so because
Keanu, and you're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
yeah, he showed up on screen and everybody was like, "Oh my god, it's Keanu Reeves!" And then he comes out and like he's saying hi to everybody, and they're losing their fucking minds because nobody expected to see Keanu Reeves.
Mm-hmm.
And then yes, you hear from the crowd somebody yells, "You're breathtaking!"
You're breathtaking.
Dude, okay, so at the Summerfest, I think Keanu Reeves was like announcing Cyberpunk DLC, and everyone just like was like, disgraced that game. Why are we still advertising it? And it made me feel a little bad. Like this guy probably can't get out of this contract, and I mean, it's surely better now.
It's better now. It's one of those like, oh god, it was terrible at
Definitely.
launch. It's better now, but like you can only make it first impression once.
Reaction, in my opinion, but I'm like, dude, what do you expect? Like, this game is huge, okay? For huge for the developer. They gotta keep plugging it and plugging and chugging. So whatever.
I think in years past though, like I love watching other people's reactions to stuff. Melanie, my wife, actually said it was so cute when I watched this year's Nintendo Direct, and I nearly cried when Mario RPG Remake came on screen. And she's like, "That was your best reaction." I was like, "I think so," because I was just like, "This is my childhood. Like, this is the game I played the most growing up." And I was super happy when they announced that. And I'm like, "I'm buying it day one. It's a no brainer." But like, she's like, "I genuinely like that." And I thought of like other people's reactions to stuff. I love Maximilian Dude's reactions. Like when they announced Killer Instinct, he just like, I'm fucking crying. And then the kicker was Final Fantasy VII Remake, when like the guy just like, now a revolutionary game, and you see the live stream, he's like, "Is that a live stream? They did it! They pressed the button! They pressed the Final Fantasy VII Remake button! Let's go!"
Oh my god.
So
I love watching other people's reactions to stuff like that.
oh, you would have
People
loved
do
my
bingos
reaction
and
to
stuff.
Mario RPG then.
Oh yeah, bingos are good. Yeah.
Mario RPG, you would have loved my reaction then, because I wasn't able to watch it. I was driving around for work and listening, right? So I heard that, and then I heard because you and we know Mario RPG so well that all you have to do is hear the beginning music, and you're like, Mario RPG.
Yeah. And
I
at
heard
first
that.
I thought it was just, it's coming to the Switch Online because
same.
it's not on there. And then I saw the twinkle, I was like, no.
As soon as Peach's graphics changed, and I just glanced over and saw that, I was driving, like I said, and just going down the road like a fucking madman. I'm sure people were looking over and just being like, dude, that guy, like, what drug is he on? That's a bit much. Because I was just going down the road and went, driving down the road, screaming like a maniac.
You're like punching the air, like, let's go. I'm gonna 100% this day one. Let's go.
So great. And it's amazing that we can still have those types of moments, because this is, and make no bones about it, this is E3 season. We just don't have any E3, but we're still getting E3 moments, which I would say is great.
So can I just say one thing about this whole, like, I'm kind of like upset we don't have like a formal E3. And again, I think of the Summerfest thing, and it's Jeff Keighley's show. It's Jeff Keighley's show. And I like weird games, and I like finding comprehensive, let's say like we have the E3 list or the announcement list for whatever press conference this is. And I know we had the big Sony announcement, but then we're seeing like repeated things with like Microsoft and Nintendo also advertising, hey, we're going to have this game on our system. Here's another little angle that we can tell you about. But then there's also like the smaller devs doing their own presentations. And despite me following them on Twitter, and like that's most of my game library is weird, obscure stuff, I'm still not finding out what's going on with certain developers. If they aren't like the big AAA, like I don't even know that they have news half the time. So that's kind of like my big gripe. Like, I like that, for example, Nintendo could have its like nice little customized presentations. Like Nintendo does it best, far by the best out of everyone right now. But then like I keep seeing repeated information, and I understand it's multi-platform. And then I just don't know the games that I have the most interest, where if I don't buy it now, in like 5 to 10 years, these games will be impossible to find. And I found out too late about certain things. Or it's like, oh, I missed that. Okay. So it's kind of frustrating because I can't figure out like what's happening when, and I'm not finding definitive like resources of information. I liked when reporters would be like, all right, we went to E3, or we watched all the content, and here's every single timestamp, every single little thing, and these are all the booths and all the weird little obscuro things, and oh, here's the giveaways and all the other fun things too in between that might not be as important. But I guess for me, being like a niche gamer, I like literally found out about stuff like, oh, this presentation video was like 3 weeks ago. I had no idea. So
Yeah.
I just feel a little disenfranchised as a viewer.
Right. And I think over time that's becoming a bigger problem, largely because when you had like, the E3 season, you would have things like the PC gaming show. That definitely helped out because that was a time for indie devs to come on and be like, hey, here's our game that's coming to Steam, and we hope you'll support it, and we think you'll really like it. And it had that opportunity to really showcase itself. And things like that have really fallen by the wayside. Sometimes Nintendo or PlayStation or whoever will throw them a bone and include them in like one of their big broadcasts. But here's the issue. What if they don't? And then what's going to happen? Because my favorite indie game of like all time that I discovered last year, Cult of the Lamb, love that game to pieces, but I don't remember hearing much about it. Maybe Devolver had another show that I didn't know about and they mentioned it there, but I didn't really hear anything about it. And
Yeah,
I
I
would have
think
been
Devolver did, but that's kind of the problem I'm finding right now with like, I mean, I'm all for this season and it all evolving, but this year it's been a little too stagnated. Like with what it was E3, like they were pretty consistent with their schedule. You knew that like EA and Ubisoft would kick it off on like the Saturday. Microsoft would get Sunday. Bethesda would get Sunday night. Monday would be Sony, and then the official start of E3 is on a Tuesday, and Nintendo would have that with their direct or their conference, or whatever. And then you rolled in, and people started to file in, so you knew what to expect. And then they would have like when the bigger ones were done, it's like, okay, stick around. We're gonna after EA Play, we're gonna have Devolver Digital and their kooky guys. Said too, like Devolver Digital's conferences are so chaotic because it's just this stage show, like this play that's being acted, and then like this crazy, like someone's like limbs getting hacked off or something else is happening off screen, and it's like, oh yeah, we got to show you my friend Pedro, or here's Metal Wolf Chaos. We've brought this game from obscurity because a bunch of Let's players played it and made it prominent again. So I love those ones, but I kind of missed that with E3 is that they were like, you knew what was happening. With Summer Game Fest, everything's spread out so far that it's kind of hard to like bring everything together and be like, okay, now we know what's up. But because there's more announcements coming, like what was Summer Games Fest was like what, last week, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
and Nintendo's
like a good like E3 time frame.
Yeah, and then Nintendo just had
this week.
Yeah, it's way too spaced
over
out.
A month ago.
Yeah.
And like,
oh my god, it was a month ago.
As a viewer, like, not trying to be dumb, but like, there's people that probably are way more clueless than me, and it's like, kind of like when we were talking about the Sony announcements, I was like, oh, I'm surprised to see Sony advertise this, where I have an association with like a Nintendo or an Xbox thing. So that like led it to confusion in one sense, and then now it's like, oh, I totally missed out on so many things, and I don't even know what I'm still missing or what's to come. Where E3, it's like, oh, we have a solid 7 to 10 day window to really educate the press and the public about all the subjects. To hear anyone about anything major for a few months, maybe as maybe like every quarter there's some sort of big thing that's brought up to promote the continuing sales cycle with the games. But I don't know, I just feel like really confused. I don't know if I'm being lazy with my research or what.
I don't think it's being lazy as much as it just, the information doesn't flow like it used to. And that could be problematic. I think it's just fine for the big companies, but for anything other than AAA or anything other than like the big three, it's becoming very problematic. The only time you really get that solid news cycle of things is if something's burning to the ground. If there's a major problem, you'll hear all about it. Is it that right Stadia? Is it that right Stadia controller?
Mm-hmm.
Bad news spreads faster than the good news.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's another negative aspect of this type of presentation style that we have going on. Like, you do have to search for it a bit harder. You have to be someone that's willing to go to multiple news sites to get all of that. And I don't know about everybody else, but I'm a busy guy. I'm not going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of stuff, it goes by the wayside for me. Oftentimes, like for game releases and different things like that, I rely on you all that I follow on Twitter to keep me up to date.
Oh, you know what? I saw the most brilliant thing. So let me be a little more specific here. I'm like really butthurt that I didn't know there was an Xseed announcement. It was kind of like a slower Nintendo Direct to describe the style in which they did their presentation. And I'm really like butthurt about that. And then yesterday they had the new like New Age Style Savvy advertised, or a couple days ago on the Nintendo Direct, and some person on Twitter is like, everyone needs to know about this game. So I'm tagging all the big things everyone cares about. So there's tagging like Zelda, Skyrim, all these other huge games. And I'm like, holy crap. Like I found out after the Xseed presentation a couple after the fact. But this is my first time seeing someone publicly talk about the fashion game that I'm so and it's like, holy crap, like the weird thing popped up simply only because of algorithms, and only the big games are getting the spotlight.
Exactly my point.
Which that Xseed game was. I didn't notice it until like after it was it the farming one? Was it the farm fee
Fashion game? It's like the new spirit of like, it's not Style Savvy because Nintendo owns that IP, but it's the same people making Style Savvy. It's the same art direction, like the same like models. It's like Fashion Dreamer. That's the game. I'm calling it Style Savvy 5, but Fashion Dreamer, the game where I'm like, okay. I once I announced it months ago on a previous Nintendo Direct, I keep it in one of my 30 web tabs on my phone of things to not forget. And despite my refreshing, I didn't find out that there was other information out there, and it quite frankly upset me because I'm on top of it.
Well, I can even throw this as an example because that made me think about my wife here. Did anybody know that a new Story of Seasons is coming out in less than a week?
Oh, I pre-ordered and paid that off.
Yep, you knew. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
We knew.
Okay, well,
Does
it's because I
everybody
like
know?
troll my GameStop and like ask them to print off lists, and then I pre-order all the weird Obscuro games or take home the lists and I do research on my own because I'm psychotic like that. And I'm like, will this game be hard to find in a few years? Like, if I don't buy it
Probably.
now, will I be able to get it? And they're like, yeah, you and this other girl are the only people who order the weird games or the Obscuro or RPGs that no one else plays. And I'm like, and then we're gonna be the rich ones. I mean, we're not selling them because we love it, but we're gonna be the wealthy gamers
Oh God,
in 10
straight
years when
up.
everyone's vying for that title.
Straight
And
up,
it's like,
dude.
no, I actually play my games. Like, I'm glad I got it. So
I
I have to
mean,
get some games at the beginning or else I won't get it.
I can tell you this. I can tell you how many people pre-ordered that at the GameStop I went to. This guy. That's it. I'm the only guy.
Mhm.
I am the only one who pre-ordered that because I had to go in there and I had to tell him, look, I need this. I need to know if you have the premium edition because if she doesn't get that goat, it's the end of the world.
No, okay, I have like a bunch of them in my room if you guys ever want to see them.
So we're getting the goat. We have the cow from the other not Story of Seasons, but yes, Story of Seasons. You know what I mean. So we've got the cow. We're gonna get the goat. There's gonna be harmony in the house, but there almost wasn't harmony in the house because we didn't know about the release, and that's what I'm talking about. It's a bit of a problem if it's not a AAA game.
Mhm.
Just a little
Can I
bit.
just say I feel a sister like bond with your wives. I'm like, oh, people that like the same games as me.
Oh,
With the
she's
same level
nuts
of
for Story
enthusiasm.
of Seasons. She is nuts for it. Absolutely
Dude,
adores that
Yeah.
series.
I'm gonna have to like arrange something and like play and stream some games with these girls because they are amazing.
Well,
I
you've got to
imagine
stream
Melanie will
some
get
games
into
anyway.
that too, because since I've now finished Tears of the Kingdom, she will now take ownership of the Switch for a bit to play
Okay,
Harvest
take
Moon,
turns.
and yeah. Oh, you have 85 hours into that, and I finally hit Endgame, and I'm like, okay, I want to get through as quickly as possible. It's just like I
Dial it
know
down.
Harvest Moon's on there, and you need to play it, and so
Well, we
we'll see
got
how that goes.
something really cool for Dana, so she can play Switch games as much as she wants while I play Switch games. We actually got a discounted import from Japan, Pokemon Scarlet Violet Switch OLED for her.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
That's very, very cool.
if anybody's looked at the game room and they saw the Nintendo Shrine I have and they saw that box, yes, that is a Japanese import. You are correct.
I just look at that Rubens look at the chat. It's like every other farming sim announced on the direct, right? Maximilian was doing the live reaction to Nintendo Direct. He's just like, if there's another farming game, I'll give 50 gifted subs to the chat. And he's like, no, I have
Did
to
you
see
guys
a
see the
farming
donkey
tool.
video?
Into-
Like I like literally love Donkey, and I just like I wish I could talk to the man one day. And like when he got to the Nintendo portion of his video, he's like cozy, comfortable, cozy, cute. Like he just like edited every moment of a cozy game, which is definitely a trend online. There's a lot of particularly women gamers that are like, we're just only gonna play cozy games. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm like, cozy is the word of the modern day for kind of the games that I've noticed many women play more than men.
I
I
love
would
cozy.
say cozy. I would to call chill because like I have that in Power Wash Simulator, which I'll be probably getting back into that soon since the SpongeBob DLC's coming out soon for that. I'm like clean all of Bikini Bottom. But yeah, cozy, chill. Yeah, I like those are the games where like you have to really think about too much. You can just shut off your brain and be like, all right, I'm just gonna harvest some stuff. I'm gonna build some stuff like your Stardew Valleys, your
Okay,
Minecraft and stuff
hold
like that.
on.
Like
Hold on. People that actually play cozy games, like there's a whole mission of what you're doing. Like there's a whole mission. Like when I play Harvest Moon Story of Seasons, I know who's gonna be my husband or wife and what crops we're gonna do to be profitable. And guess what? When I play Stardew, I have a whole scenario laid out of in which way we're gonna conquer and win this game, and who we're gonna love on this season. Okay.
Okay,
There was
okay.
a
I thought I was
whole
hardcore.
method. Like, okay. Like there's a whole like when I watch Cody, my partner, play like Stardew, I'm like, bro, you're doing everything wrong. I mean, that was the first few times, like for his first game or so. He's gotten a way
Yeah.
better game, but like, oh no, what are you doing? When he plays like the chill games, and I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. You're gonna suffer in like 2 years in the game and regret all your decisions.
yeah, you're gonna be like, it's like no, move. You grab the controller just like this how you do it.
I know we're getting near the end of this thing, but now I'm curious. You piqued my curiosity, Liz. So I'm trying to get to the 10 million gold in Stardew so I could buy the clock and have like perfect farm, and then I'm considering that game done. So right now I'm going the wine method. What method do you recommend?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I don't get that intense. I just like it's more like who do I want to romance and how many children are we gonna have and
Oh.
what is our main source of income.
Oh,
Like
well, I'm a
I don't know.
psychopath.
Like I'm not there. I'm not there to win it like you do, but I do have like you obviously can't like trace every single moment in your life in these games, but I do have like an idea of the anticipated journey, and all the drama in between is the fun surprise, and also very enraging surprises sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess I'm just a psychopath because I've got like this insane setup of like all this starfruit wine I'm making, and then I'm aging it, and I'm getting like insane amounts of
No,
money
dude.
throughout the season,
No,
just
you're
going
only
nuts.
insane if you want to beat the arcade game without dying or getting hit or whatever. That is like a whole other level of psycho. So don't worry. Like
Mega
you're not
Man 2 no
crazy until
damage?
you want to do that.
So what? Mega Man 2 no damage? Is that what I heard? Nah, I'm gonna let that be
In
a
the
Johnny
equivalent,
thing.
Stardew.
Oh God, no! I can't do Mega Man 2 no damage.
Why not?
Crazy. Man,
Yes.
I barely just beat this guy. Tomorrow I'm gonna attempt Batman. I haven't beat Batman legit ever. Joker scares me.
Well, let's go ahead and we're gonna wrap up the E3 talk here. But
Oh, can I
before
bring
we
one
do-
more moment of E3 that I don't think we've ever touched, and that was the complete debacle that was G4 broadcasting the Microsoft conference late at midnight in the middle of the Halo 3 gameplay trailer. This is the first time anyone publicly live is seeing Halo 3, and you could hear in the background like the director saying, "We got to go to commercial," and Cesar's like, "No, we're in the middle of the trailer." It's like the trailer's playing. It's like, "No, we got to go to commercial." The trailer's playing right in the middle of the gameplay. Trailer cuts, or sorry, it goes to commercial. It was broadcasts out, and then they come back and it's like, "All right, we have to replay the whole trailer again because we went to commercial break." So,
wow.
oh my God, like, I think I've got that favorite. It's on YouTube somewhere. It's favorited, but that's like one of the bigger blunders. And as for like a fond memory, I always loved Nathan's videos at E3 as Keith Apicary.
Yeah.
That's the
And
chaos he
getting
would
all, like,
cause.
banned
classic
and
gaming
kicked
whiz.
out so
Yeah.
fast.
He interrupted that G4 thing where like Olivia Munn was like getting people to do a gaming challenge for like a thing of nuts, and he's like, "Have you guys seen the Dreamcast 2? Dreamcast 2?"
Didn't he also climb on top of one of the buildings?
Oh, no, like on the glass or something.
Yeah, I think
and he
so.
was like sliding down.
Yeah. I think like the fucking
What a
LA
monkey.
cops got called and everything.
E3 or Comic-Con. I can't remember which.
I
can't
can't
remember
either,
what
but
it is.
Something.
bad things happen.
He's
I-
climbing everything he can.
The one thing that kind of bugged me about that whole thing, like, what was the point of G4 doing that at E3? Like, okay, let's bring on these other game journalists and street insiders in here to win prizes. I can go to the Ubisoft booth and get free swag. What do I want a big thing of nuts for? Like, what does this have to like? I think that was at the point though, that were like, other than E3, G4 could give two shits less about games at that point. I think they were already far into the whole attack of the show. Like, oh, you want gaming stuff? Just watch X Play, and then nothing else.
Oh,
I think they were well into that era.
Man, I could get into that, but it might bore people to death. So we're gonna.
That could be a good future topic. I mean,
We're not gonna
G4's
Kotaku
been-
in action or anything, guys. We're not gonna do that. But when it comes to ethics, even in game journalism, you're supposed to watch what you're given as a gift. You're supposed to be very careful and make sure that they're not handing you something that's mind-blowing or anything like that. So I guess with them, it's like, here, you could do this and win this prize. You're not being given it, you're winning it. But even then, it's like, it's a facade. The prize is shit. Why do we care?
Mhm. And I want to make a recommendation before we go. If you guys ever wanted to watch like compilations of like funny or cringe or meme-worthy moments, go search out on YouTube Croby Cat. He does really great videos of E3 past, and just everything's condensed into one video. So give that a look if you're ever curious as to like the memeable moments of E3.
And aside from the memes, can we just like bless Scott the Woz again? Like, I don't think he's released an E3 video this year, but you know, this guy is wise beyond his years, and he's so well researched, and I have so much fun seeing him go back 20 years or whatever it might be to reflect on really old E3s, since, you know, we've gone through the pandemic with it being canceled. So I hope he releases something soon, or has commentary like we did tonight about the current state of gaming announcements.
Yeah, he's a good old Ohio boy.
Yep.
Good for Scott.
He's still focusing. I think he has like 4 more hours to talk about the Wii U. And then
Oh my god.
no,
I still haven't even
don't
started
anticipate-
watching that yet.
I don't think he'll have that. I think he's got 4 hours of the Wii U, and then of course he's got his year in review of the Switch. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh no,
He
I
does
thought he
that every
ended
year.
that last year. He's like, I can't do this anymore, guys.
I demand
He's
it.
so
Really? Okay,
dedicated.
sure.
I demand it. Well, before we wrap it up here, first, I would like, since if you're listening to the recorded version here, we also do this thing live. It happens every other Friday, twitch.tv/ResetPress. I'd like chat to just tell me, how many knee slaps would you give this podcast tonight? You know, I think Scott would appreciate that. So how many knee slaps would you give us tonight, chat? I just need to know. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
I gave it a flick.
I think it's getting a little
That's some
steamy in here.
good slaps.
I think I gave it a 4 with a flick.
Perfect.
There you
That many. Damn, Julia
We're
loves
getting
us.
a lot.
go.
Amazing.
And she also likes cats.
Fuck yeah, I do too. Mittens, where are you? She's around. Oh, she's over with the Splatoon pillows. She knows what's up. What we'd like to see in E3 season in the future, since we're not having an E3. And you know what, Liz, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You can go first.
What I see in like E3 season as in like games?
Games,
or
presentations,
future
formats. What would you like?
So I feel like there needs to be like a group of people that cover obscure games so I can keep track and I won't whine and cry because I missed a pre-order or a collector's edition on something important to me. For honestly, like everything Nintendo announced seemed pretty good. Maybe not everything is like a day one purchase for me in particular. Like we did watch all the presentations in the last few weeks together, and I'm like,
Oh, you cut out.
that's probably the. Oh, I'm sorry. I would just say pretty much everything Nintendo announced is very exciting for me, and I just think about how broke I am, and I just can't afford it all. So, not everything's a day one purchase, but I'll eventually kind of look for the non like Nintendo specific games on sale.
Fair. And yeah, as much stuff's coming out right now, I don't think day one purchase for most of it's going to happen. Like Final Fantasy 16, not a day one for me.
No, it'll be on
Unfortunately.
sale. Square Enix.
Yep.
Johnny, what would you like to see in the future?
Well, I mean, E3 as itself as a whole, like it was before, is not coming back. So honestly, like I would love to see like the Summer Game Fest still like roll on. It's obviously it's got to evolve a little bit, but I think like if you can get it concise and like in that weekend span, like have everything come out in that weekend so that everyone's got all the information instead of spreading it out over the month. Because like right now with the information that's given to us, we forget about stuff really quickly. Like I could not tell you other than maybe seeing like gameplay of Spider-Man 2 and more info about Spider-Man 2 at the Keeley. I don't know what else. I honestly can't remember what was announced at the Summer Game Fest. No, the gameplay of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's the only thing I remember because it was the last thing.
I don't even think I
anything
watched that. Yeah, I don't
just
think
like
I watched
skimmed through.
any of that.
Yeah.
Because the thing I was waiting for and I cared about the most is what I watched the other day, the Nintendo Showcase. Sorry, I was worried about the Direct, folks.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go ahead and focus on me real quick. What would I like to see in the future? Sorry, it's gonna be mainly Nintendo related. Big shocker there, wearing a Mario hat, talking about Nintendo. I would like to see Nintendo Directs be more playful, like back in the Iwata days. And I believe that's not the first time I
Yes.
mentioned that here. I'd definitely like to see that because it seemed like Iwata had this ability in a Direct to just connect with the audience in a way that the current presenters, there's nothing wrong with them. They're doing a great job of disseminating the information and seeming, fairly relatable, but they feel so fucking corporate. And that's the problem.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Iwata
agree.
never came off as corporate to me. And they always did fun, interesting things, like Reggie would come on and say something silly, or the puppets, like I mentioned earlier, something like that.
Like a relief from the news,
Right.
essentially.
I want to see Nintendo
Yeah.
go back to a more playful form for their E3 season, shall we say.
I think the
It
last time
was
they
exactly
did
like
that,
that with Xseed.
Mhm.
let's say the last time they did that was when Doug Bowser took over as president of Nintendo of America. Then they had to have the joke. It's just like, you're not Bowser, I'm Bowser.
Yeah, because
That's
Bowser
kinda
came in
lacking.
like
Yeah,
he had a
dude, we
tie
did
on and
so
was
much
like,
with Doug Bowser.
Yeah.
Like they need to use him more, but maybe he's like, I mean, he's still a president right now, right, in North America.
yes.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like, maybe he's just more of a private person. Maybe that's why we don't hear so much from him in particular. But like, dude, you have to capitalize on your freaking name. Like, people will go wild.
Like, I follow the guy on Twitter, and he doesn't tweet very often. Oh, other than to say, well, the weekend's here, I'll be playing this. It's like, come on, dude. Your name is legendary. Be fun. I mean, I come up with silly things all the time. I tell people that Bowser's my dad. Come on. You know, put some fun into it, guys. That's all I'm asking for. But I think that wraps it up. You know, that was a pretty good E3 discussion. E3 in 23, it ain't a thing. But we can still talk about how things are going for the E3 season and how everything is playing out for this year. It's a really solid year for games. My God, it's a solid year for games.
There's too much.
There really is.
Much good stuff.
But until next time, we'll see you 2 weeks from now. Of course, that's happening on Friday, every other Friday. So until we meet again, guys, this has been episode 5 of the Reset Button. Good night. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Reset Button. If you like the podcast, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you'll be updated whenever there's a new episode or various clips that we produce. We appreciate all your support.